Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hold My Nuggets Incorporated for your 2019 Championship Sunday post-game analysis show. I am your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. And I know we are about 3 days removed from Championship Sunday. And I must say, both these games did not necessarily go the way that I planned. And although, the Chiefs and Titans, I knew it would be a spread of about 13 points. It ended up being 11 in the end. But the pacing of the game, I did not quite foresee that. But I did see the Chiefs coming out on top. The 49ers, I was not expecting a 24, or I should say 27-point halftime lead. I didn't see that coming, nor did I expect the Packers to get blanketed in the first half. But we're going to break those down. Let's first start with the AFC Championship. And the gospel of, Henry was ultimately quelled. And I expected that to happen. Now, mind you, it's not as if he had a slouch sort of game. 19 carries, 69 yards, a TD, and through the air, I think he had two catches for like -8 yards. So total yards on the day, he was sitting at 61. There was only so much that he could do. But they did fall behind, or I should say, once they had a 17-7 lead, they failed to expand that gap because 10 points is nothing to Kansas City. Let's first break down what happened, all right? We saw the Titans go down the field, 3-minute-and-a-half drive, 8 plays, 58 yards. They put a field goal on the board. Kelsey's hands, once again, were just for decoration. Did not catch it on third down. Tennessee got the football right back, went down the field in 4 minutes this time, 9 plays, 48 yards, took a 10-0 lead. Now, they needed a stop from their defense to continue to expand on that lead because Kansas City only had the football for 1.5 minutes. What happens next? KC goes down the field, 5 minutes, 10 plays, 69 yards, cuts their deficit to 3, where we saw Tyreek Hill get the ball on, I believe it was a shovel pass over the middle, went into the end zone, touchdown. All of a sudden, now you're sitting at only a 3-point lead. Tennessee would respond on a 9-minute drive. This is good football here because you're keeping Mahomes on the sideline, where we saw, Tannehill connect with Kelly, fat man with football. At this point, things look like, Tennessee's offense is flowing. They have scored on 3 consecutive drives, and Kansas City has only answered once. This is when it began to go downhill. Because Kansas City answers like that. Why? Because nobody decides to cover Tyreek Hill. Cut their deficit to 3. Tennessee goes 3 and out. KC goes down the field extremely fast again. All of a sudden, nobody can tackle Patrick Mahomes. Runs into the end zone for like a 27-yard touchdown. And then from that point, take the L out of Lover. It's over, brother. Tennessee's not a team to play from behind. All right, Derrick Henry, the reason why you keep seeing this man run for all of those yards, they got the lead. They trying to kill clock. Give this man the football. He will elapse time. When you're playing from behind, running the football does you a disservice. It may be your best asset, but if you get stopped for 2 consecutive downs, you've now taken minutes off of the clock, and on top of that, you're sitting at like a 3rd and long. So you got to go and pass. And have we seen Tannehill come out here and kill teams with his arms on a consistent basis this season? No, but we've seen Derrick Henry kill teams with his legs. That's why you didn't see 30 carries from Derrick Henry, because they started playing from behind. Now, when you saw Mahomes, and mind you, I might add, Mahomes' run ended, the entire, the first half. That only left about 10 seconds, 11 seconds left for Tennessee. Who's getting the football to kick off the second half? KC. They punt. All right, they punt. Tennessee needs to get a drive here. They can't. They can't move the ball. KC scores up 28-17. At this point, it's desperation time because the offense for KC's moving. And if you know anything about Kansas City, if that offense is rolling, you saw it 2 weeks ago in the divisional round, they can score 7 consecutive touchdowns. What happens? They score again. Once they went up 35-17, take the L out of Love. It's over, brother. It's a 4th quarter. Tennessee ain't one of those teams that move, all right? This ain't 1999. It's not the start of the new millennium. You're not going to see no Music City Miracle. This ain't taking place in Tennessee. This is Arrowhead, and the Kansas City Chiefs, pretty much put the game away. Although Tennessee did score again, did it help them come back and win? Absolutely not. All right, Tannehill on the day was 21 of 31, 209 yards, 2 TDs. It wasn't a terrible performance, but it wasn't enough to get them over the hump. When you look at their receiving, Corey Davis led them in receiving with 65 yards. He wasn't really a factor all day. He had a couple of catches that took up some yards, probably about, I think, 2 catches that amassed over 40, and then the other was nothing. A.J. Brown, he was nowhere to be found. He was that lightning spark from their receiving corps this season. What you saw was 3 catches, 51 yards. All right, Jonnu Smith, 3 catches, 38 yards. That ain't enough to get stuff done. For KC's offense, Patrick Mahomes, 23 of 35, 294 yards and 3 TDs, 0 INTs. Kansas City did nothing to shoot themselves in the foot. Tennessee has been a beneficiary of the opposing team shooting themselves in the foot. You saw Baltimore do what? Countless drop passes. I think 6 or 7 drop passes, 3 turnovers. You saw New England turn the football over. You saw New England drop footballs. KC, although they dropped the football early, they made sure they got rid of that with the quickness. All right, so Tennessee was already at a disadvantage there. All right, their leading rusher on the day was Mahomes as well. 8 carries, 53 yards, and on the day, Damian Williams, 17 carries, only 45 yards, but he was able to find the end zone. All right, they're not one of those teams that can kill you with their run game, but the pass game is so doggone lethal, you can't stop it. Sammy Watkins, over 100 yards and a TD. Tariq Hill, 5 catches, 67 yards, and 2 TDs. Travis Kelce on the day didn't really do too much, but his presence was felt because they saw him score that 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago in the divisional. So you constantly saw coverage rolling over. And here's what the issue is. If you're going to double team, damn near triple team Travis Kelce, you're going to leave one-on-one with Tariq Hill, McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins? Are you crazy? I understand what Mike Vrabel wanted his defense to go out there and do, but that ain't it, man. I'm not, no disrespect to Travis Kelce, as I constantly say, he's the best tight end in the league. But if you're leaving Tariq Hill one-on-one and you expect those guys to run with him, you're going to have a bad time. Before the game, Tariq Hill said, hey, you don't believe anybody can guard their receivers one-on-one. They went out there and proved it. He didn't need to go out and have no, virtuoso, legendary performance. All he needed was just a little bit of separation. He found the end zone on the shovel pass. Nobody was able to run with him across the field, and then he was able to be wide open. Might I add, Sammy Watkins had a long touchdown as well. It was a hell of a masterclass performance from the Kansas City offense once again, and there's no questions about how good this offense can be. Defensively, they crunched down the field after they were down 17-7. They forced Tennessee to punt. They did not let them get into their field position. And when they did not cross the 40. It was a masterclass performance from this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And I constantly say, regardless of how they played the last 10 games of the season, I don't really trust that Kansas City defense. But against Tennessee, especially when you have the lead, I believe in you. I believe in you. But if a team gets going offensively, I want to know how that defense will play. We'll find out Super Bowl Sunday, but we'll get to that next week after we see what the practice sort of situation and the health and who's going to be available. But total yards, KC outgained Tennessee 404 to 295. But what's most important here is the time of possession was pretty much even. It was pretty much even. But what did you do in that time? KC didn't possess the ball that long, but when they did, they scored extremely fast. Tennessee was murdering KC in the first half when it came to time of possession, but those last 2 drives where they did not find the end zone, that's what cost them. That's ultimately what cost them. Tannehill was sacked 3 different times, and this man was under duress damn near every time he took the snap. Mahomes had a little bit of pressure here, but then in the second half, it was virtually non-existent. Mahomes got sacked twice, but it didn't feel like he did. The 2 times that he got sacked, that felt like the only times he got touched all day. Masterclass performance from the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're moving on to the Super Bowl for the first time since Len Dawson led them there in '69 against the Minnesota Vikings. All right, there's the longest Super Bowl drought in the NFL, and they finally got it done. And kudos to Andy Reid, man, taking another team to the Super Bowl. I believe this will be his 3rd Super Bowl. Second as a head coach, but I believe he went with the Green Bay Packers when he was there, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody let me know. But speaking of the Green Bay Packers, let's talk about that L that they took and prevented us from seeing a State Farm Super Bowl, where they lost 37-20 against the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G only threw 8 passes. He was 6 for 8 for 77 yards. I think this is like top 6 for the number of passes thrown by a Super Bowl attending quarterback, or I should say a quarterback who led their team to the Super Bowl in a championship game. But the story of this game, by all means, is Raheem Mostert. You got to be kidding me. Man was cut by 6 teams. All right, 6 teams. He's on his 7th team, and he ran 29 times, 220 yards and 4 TDs. When Tevin Coleman got hurt, I started to think, man, the 49ers are going to miss Tevin Coleman, because he's one of those guys who makes statement, runs. He'll lower the shoulder on somebody. He'll break somebody's ankle. He'll score an emphatic, a touchdown for your team. So when he got hurt, I'm like, oh man, things could start to unrail, because when a team sees an injury, they might waver. That wasn't the case. Raheem Mostert was already eating a little bit. Nothing changed. I said, shit, they made me eat my words. And he went out there and rubbed his nutsack or his gluteal cleft, all of his butt cheeks, all over that Packers defense. And this is once again the failures of the GM of the Packers to give Aaron Rodgers help. Not to say that this man didn't go out there and, he didn't get the job done. But you can't sit here, watch this game, and put it on entirely on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers, all right? Because let's first look at this. San Francisco jumped out to a 27-0 lead. They ran a total. They ran, I believe it was 280 plus yards on the day. You're not going to beat a team if they run the football left and right. The Smith brothers were nowhere to be found. Evidently, Neo must have got to the stadium and got rid of all the Agent Smiths, because Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. And again, Jimmy G only threw the ball 8 times. 8 times, and they simply could not be stopped. They nearly outgained the Packers. All right, they had 354 yards to the Packers 58. Only a difference of 4 yards. On the ground, they ran for 285. And because the Packers were down, early by 27, that nullified the run game. Aaron Jones was out of the game. He played no role. On the day, Aaron Rodgers was a 31 of 39, 326 yards, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. I'll give him 1 INT, really, because the last INT is, he threw it up. Devontae down there somewhere. Game was pretty much already out of reach. But that first one, that was brutal, all right? You should not have thrown it straight into the hands of the defender while looking left. I can't recall who he was looking for. But Aaron Jones on the day, 12 carries, 56 yards, 1 TD. Devontae Adams had 9 catches, 138 yards. Jimmy Graham, 4 catches, 59 yards, but their presence was not felt at all. Let's just look at those Packers, possessions through the first half. 5 plays, 25 yards, resulting in a punt. 5 plays, 4 yards, resulting in a punt. 3 plays, negative 11 yards, resulting in a punt. Then a fumble. Then interception. Then a punt. They did not get anything going until the second half, and it was very similar to what you saw 2 weeks ago against the Seahawks, where you saw the Packers up by 18, 21-3, and then it turned into the passing game, and Russell Wilson said, all right, I got to pull a miracle out of my ass, and scored 3 consecutive touchdowns. What did we see the Packers do? Score 3 consecutive touchdowns. But they were down by 14, not down by 5. No doubt in my mind, if the Packers defense was able to stop, the 49ers from scoring that 1 touchdown, their opening drive in the second half, perhaps this could have been a miracle game for Aaron Rodgers. I still think he would have lost, given the pacing of the game and their failure to stop the Raheem Mostert running the football. But his defense really could have helped him out, because that was utterly atrocious. Utterly atrocious performance. I'll say this much. Once again, we see him fall short. He's 1-3 in the NFC Championship. He's lost his last 3, if I'm not mistaken. 2014, when they blew the 16-point lead over Seattle. They got blown out against Atlanta in 2016. I think that was 44 to like 21 or 27, one or the other. But in this one again, blown out. Just they need help, man. They need help. For San Francisco, complete football team, man. I love their football team, man. And I said it in the pregame. They have the surefire better football team in this game. They are the easy pick to choose to go to the Super Bowl from that game. But I just felt in my soul, man, Aaron Rodgers can make something happen. Unfortunately, he ain't get too much help. And in the first half, he didn't do himself any favors because they failed to move the football. But San Fran kept moving it. Those two turnovers, the fumble and the INT, those were both on Rodgers. I believe the fumble was like a miss, snap or a miss handoff, because I just saw the ball come up. They call Hut. All of a sudden, Rodgers looking behind him. I don't know what the hell happened, if that's on the center, if that's on Rodgers. But those two plays truly is what, in my opinion, cost them that game. Although it wasn't the first half, you got to play football in the second. But ultimately, those two series, their third and second to last series in the first half, that's what cost them the chance to actually make this somewhat competitive. Kudos to Raheem Mostert getting the job done. And now we're going to have the 1 and number 2 tight end in the league do battle. I'm sorry, Zach Ertz, but George Kittle has now usurped you. But look at their stats! George Kittle's the most complete tight end in the league, all right? Nobody blocks better. We've heard, Kyle Shanahan say he's never once requested for the ball. He's even find times in which Kittle comes over and starts talking about run plays. That's the kind of player that you want to see. Very similar to what you saw with a Jason Witten, but Kittle is much more dynamic, explosive, and I'm excited to see what Kelsey and Kittle got cooking up in this upcoming Super Bowl. But also, we got to point out the fact that how many sacks? I believe Green Bay got sacked like 3 times. Aaron Rodgers got sacked 3 times, but he was constantly under duress. It was brutal. 6 penalties did not help Green Bay either. But hell, it's still a good season. Nobody expected you. I can't say nobody because I predicted them to come this far. A lot of people did not expect Matt LaFleur to lead his team to 13-3 and also NFC championship appearance. A lot of people were predicting other teams like New Orleans, like San Francisco midway through the season. Hell, even Seattle made people start to, whoa, wait a minute. I never once believed in that defense regardless. But hey, kudos to the 49ers. I was wrong. Bang, bang, Niners gang. That's what they say. So we're going to have an intriguing, Super Bowl between two teams that wear red or a shade of red. What is San Francisco wear? Is that maroon? Is it burgundy? Is it just red? Whatever the case may be. All right, I'm excited for what's going to transpire. You guys let me know what your thought of the NFC and AFC championship was. And I know a ton of you guys have been asking, hey man, what about that NFC championship commentary? It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. YouTube had blocked it. What about the national championship? YouTube had blocked it. So I'm still waiting. I'm in the appealing process, waiting to see if they will, let me go and upload that. But we're just waiting as of right now. But I'll see you guys next week for my pregame of the Super Bowl. But, ladies and gentlemen, that has been your 2019 NFL Playoff Championship Sunday Recap Analysis Show. I am your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Again, let me know in the comment section what you thought of the games. For the Niners fans, you can come and say, hey man, I told you so. We go into the Super Bowl. So congratulations to both teams, and I'm excited to see how these teams match up in the Super Bowl. I'm hoping it's going to be an exciting one, man. I'll catch you guys a little bit later.